Okay, well, I think we all have at least one of those friends, or maybe even several, who just don't seem to know where the social line is. And if they do know, they do love to cross it and they like to do cartwheels all while doing it. All right. So I thought today we would explore and count down the top 20 social offenses that maybe you've seen, I know I've seen and lived through or heard about. And let me just tell you, there's some moments that will make you question your friendships, make you question your guest list, and sometimes humanity in general. So we're talking everything from people raiding your fridge without asking to showing up in outfits so inappropriate that you have to physically drop your jaw and catch it from hitting the floor. I'm going to save the most outrageous, the most awkward, and the most WTF moment for last. Okay. And trust me, you're not going to see it coming. So grab your drink, maybe your next group chat, get ready to rate these with us as we work our way from mildly annoying to the oh no, they didn't just do that. It's Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist. We changed the name. I'm Hudson Hot. That is Scotty Blaisdell, my partner. And the therapist that I'm talking about, the one and only Alan Wagner.
How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Hey, so why are
Glad.
we changing our name? That's what folks are probably asking.
Okay, let's just be straight up and honest. We've had so many people let us know that they can't find the podcast when they do a search for it. So I went to do a search, and sure enough, I couldn't find us either. So you have to have a direct link, like it has to be off of social media. And if you miss it, if it's scrolling and you're doing the doom scrolling and you pass it, oh yeah, I want to go back. Let me pull up, Mike and Mind. There are too many Mike and Mind. So we got buried at the very bottom. So nobody was able to find us ever. Is that's how I felt. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. And this gives us actually people that know us, and people that don't. I think it's an accurate description because it's who we are, and we definitely need a therapist. And
And here he
that's why
is
Alan's here.
with the laugh. He's got this maniacal laugh. But he's
Well,
the best therapist, and he also happens to be my husband, which makes it really interesting on the podcast. But yeah, I think the name change is a good. Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist, featuring Alan Wagner, and
There you
not
go.
just any therapist. Come on.
I know I got the featuring in there. That's kind of cool. But no, I agree. I mean, I think it was interesting to see how many Mike and Mine podcasts there were. I didn't realize how many people like that name. So apparently, it was not being found. And you know what? I like people using names anyway. You guys are awesome.
Okay.
All
We're all in
right.
agreement, but if you hate it, let us know.
Yeah, and be sure, and the one thing that Scotty and I have always enjoyed, it's been pretty much the backbone to our entire legendary career. 20 years of hosting a morning radio show together. It's the interaction. That's what we need. We want your questions. We want your feedback. If something grabbed your attention, drop a message in the comments, and we promise we'll respond. I'll even give you a login code, and even Scotty will give it his best, even though he's not the best at responding to text messages, but he will respond. But we're going to talk about like some of these situations, about the social offenses that people do. There's a very long list, and some resonated, and I'm interested to know from two men, two very different men at that, how you would rank these. One as being five being the worst.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
I'm going to start at number 20. The late arrival legend. That's the friend that takes the time, right? And shows up hours later after 8 p.m. Everybody's showing up at 8, but they roll in 9:20, 9:30. Is that,
Well, for me, that's a strong five, and part of the reason is because if I'm hosting,
yeah,
I'm making food, I plan the food to be ready when I say we're starting.
same.
And I want you to be there to, first of all, enjoy it the way I intended it. Plus, it just shows you respect me and my time.
No, I can understand that. I think I was going to give it a one initially because it depends on if they were playing a role. But I was thinking of what Scotty said too. If it was a potluck and I was expecting them to bring something and then they showed up, and it was an omission, yeah, I'd be pretty pissed because they were supposed to
Right.
be there as they were part of the food or part of the entertainment or whatever it was going to be. But at the same time, I know sometimes people can just pop in whenever, and sometimes I'm just happy they came by. I always think it's weird when somebody is the last to arrive but the first to leave. It always leaves a weird feeling like, was I just a checkbox? Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
come late, does that mean you have to stay late? I don't know. But I was gonna say maybe a one, but maybe you make a good point, Scotty. I'd say three.
I had a friend back in Hawaii's days, my friend Carlos. We were throwing a New Year's Eve party, and it was a pretty big party. And the only thing that Carlos had to bring was this pan of malasadas that I had ordered. That was it. That's all he had to bring. And it was get to the house by 9. Carlos showed up at like 5 of 12. Everybody was about to leave. And there he comes, walking with the pan of malasadas. But I'm that same exact way like you, Scotty. Like if I make something hot, even when I cook dinner, I want my family to sit down immediately because I want you to taste it because I just slaved over that stove and I've cooked it all by hand for you and I want you to enjoy it because I put my love into that. So that's number 20 on the list for
Can, can,
yes.
can I just say something? I don't mean to interrupt. I don't know if Scotty's the same as me. Do you know what a malasada is?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Okay.
it's it's
Of
basically
course we do.
in Hawaii. It's kind of a form of a donut, and with sugar on the outside of it. That's the best way to maybe to
Yeah,
describe it.
it's a Hawaii delicious treat. It's
Okay.
something from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Sorry,
wanted to clear
Alan.
that up. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was like, is
You
that
know what?
kind
I
of
forget
like
that
a
people don't know what a malasada is. I talk like everybody knows what a malasada is, but
I
Good
yes.
thought,
point.
well, I thought it was like a pan of enchiladas or something. I just didn't understand like what we were talking about here. But
Yeah.
donuts, yeah, okay, I get it.
I feel like I'm very guilty of this one, and I've only done it a handful of times, but number 19 on the social offenses list is the regifter. It's
Mm.
the gift that keeps on giving. Now, you've been a master at that. You regifted. You remember, Scotty, what you gifted me?
What did I gift you, Hudson?
A Christmas tree. Now, I didn't give you the tree. Here's what happened. I had a lovely tree and I loved it. It was one of those pre-lit suckers, but it finally died. Now, Scotty had multiple trees, and I know this because he was actually at one point storing them under his bed, I believe. You made this weird platform and used it as a storage area, but you had numerous trees. When my tree died, it was just before the holidays. I asked you if I could borrow the tree. And what did you say?
Well, I said yeah, and this happened a couple of years in a row, and then the third year, I said your gift this year is the tree.
He did.
So, so there you go. I thought that's what you want, apparently.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me as much as an adult if like somebody gave you like whiskey or wine and you weren't going to have it and it was, you could give it as a nice gift to someone else. I think that's fine. I always remember as a parent because like you would give presents to kids at birthday parties with a gift receipt. And I remember sometimes you would give a present to my kids and it would be like 2 or 3 years too young, not appropriate at all for the kids. And so I would think I could return it, but there's no gift receipt. And so I think if you're gonna re-gift something, it should be appropriate and there should be an option, especially if it's kind of offensive a little bit at least if you're doing a kids thing and you give them like a 2-year-old present when they're turning 7. And I thought that
Okay.
was kind of weird.
Where
Well,
does this?
I think the tree. Sorry, I think the tree thing is was really a gift. It wasn't really a regift because I
Right.
bought it.
Mhm.
So, but when you regift, I think you just got to be careful on who knows that it's a regift.
Mhm.
You obviously don't give it to the same person that gave it to you, or someone in that small friend group that they can say, "Oh, I bought one of those for so and for Scotty."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay, where does
yeah.
this rank for each of you on social offenses?
Uh, uh,
Regifting.
one.
Alan?
I'd say 2.
Yeah, I'm probably at a one or a two with that. Number 18, the wine vaniture. Now, we have all met this one, and you're not a wine drinker, Scotty. You're barely a drinker, but there is that one friend who will come over. You're having a party, and you've got the bottles laid out, so it's help yourself. But there's a couple of bottles still not opened yet, but that one friend will come over and they will pop open the most expensive bottle of wine and they do it like clockwork every single time. It's the wine vanisher. Have you ever experienced any of that?
Well, Okay, you said we don't necessarily. We do drink some wine occasionally,
Yeah.
but I've been at a family event. Frankly, it was my sister in South Carolina, and her daughters are very much into knocking them back. So there was no bottle that was safe at that point. And there has to be a point where either by the people you invited over that anything out that they can see is going to be gone, or you just don't bring it out.
Right.
I was gonna say that I don't know. I just kind of feel like that's a four for me because I feel like if you're at someone else's house and they haven't opened something, you wait till they open it, especially if there's something similar that's already open. So if you're going and opening a second thing that's not opened, whether it's wine or food or going into the fridge, I kind of feel that's a little offensive. I think it's a little bit entitlement. So I'd say a four for me.
A four for
I'm
you?
gonna say a two because of the fact that are you just flexing by putting out an expensive bottle of wine that no
Ooh.
one's supposed to open?
And you would feel like, you know what? You put it out, I'm opening in that
That's
sucker
right.
up.
Yeah, you're
Thanks.
right. You're right. You're right. I'll go down to it too because I think if you put it on the counter, then I think it's up for free game. If it's out of the fridge and it's sitting on the counter, then you did it to yourself.
Okay, this is interesting hearing the perspective of rankings of social offenses from two different men. How about the food snubber? The guest who comes with their own meal because they're coming over. Have you ever experienced that where somebody brings their food,
Hmm.
whether it's a food allergy, quote unquote, or not really, or they're just not into your type of food, but they're coming and they're bringing a dish and that's the only thing they eat. How do you feel about that?
Alan, you want to go first?
I mean, if it's an allergy situation and they don't want to make a scene about it and they're just going to be cool and they're not going to make everybody else suffer through a vegan meal, I give it a one. I think that's kind of actually nice. It doesn't bother me.
That was exactly my answer because if they're uh, if they care enough to bring their own food or whatever, then they still want to socially be with you, but they don't have an option to eat the thing that maybe you made, so they don't want to risk it, and they brought something they know they could eat. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, that's a no, that would be a number one for me as well. I
Now,
don't,
now if they just come over and just start declaring things are awful,
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat
they're not
that.
coming back.
No,
That's that's number
you
one.
eat meat. Oh,
Okay, we're
it's a
moving on to
barbecue.
number 16, the social media leech. It's when your party or your get together becomes their social media. They hijack your your event, your celebration and they're sitting there taking photos of themselves in the middle like it's there to do. What do you think about that?
I don't really know. I don't know that situation that much, so I I don't. It seems irrelevant to me, so I have no number
Really?
for that. Yeah.
I don't know. As a man, and I think maybe this is a man's perspective, we don't really do social media at events. We're usually forced to by our girlfriends or wives to take pictures, the guys, the girls, and to create a story of sorts for the audience that's looking at their social media. So I guess it bothers me in general, I would say, like at a four or five, if you're not present. I remember like even bands we would go see sometimes are like, put down your phone and they would throw you out if you started recording. So I think sometimes as a person, we have to be present. We can just put our phones away and just be there. We don't need to post it. We don't need to make ourselves the star of some
But that's
movie.
a dude thing. Women like to post. That's why we have Instagram. That's why we have Facebook. That's why we have TikTok.
But that's a whole other podcast, isn't it? It's like, why do women like to post on social media? What are they looking for? But I guess what I'll say is that in that situation, to me, it feels like you're not present when you're doing that, and you're just all about yourself. It's like a little.
I like Alan's point. Yeah.
So
I,
what are you
as,
going? What number? What are you ranking this?
I would say a three. At least because if you're so focused on that you're not adding anything to the get together, then I don't. Why are you there?
Yep.
Yep. I've seen this happen at so many events where people just do that. So for me, that's a number four. That would totally hit it a number four.
Yep.
Number 15, the know-it-all critic. They come in and they know everything and they'll say it in front of a room and try and minimize you. They are the know-it-all critic. How about that? Know anybody like that?
I have. I used to be kind of bad in my 20s when I would meet people like that, and I would sort of like corner them into situations where they pretend they know it all, but they only have like 60% knowledge, and then I'll one up them, even with a devil's advocate position, to 70% knowledge to humiliate them in front of everybody. And I don't do that anymore. I promised myself after reading the Celestine prophecy, I wasn't going to be mean to other people and steal their energy, but it bothers me when a person feels like they have to usurp another person's point of view or take on, the star role because we all have stories and to us it's a big deal and we don't need to one up people. We don't need to factually correct people and people who do that are annoying.
Okay, I that's a five probably. That is one of the most annoying things in the world to
Five for
me.
me too.
And what I've found though, and this is the difference from growing up to our present situation, is you can fact check things really quickly.
Yep.
And you can say, well, I read blah blah blah. You can be, as Alan said, that person that kind of shuts them down if you want to be. So I have a hard time because I just want to get away from that person. I don't want to be around it.
Okay, so that's a number five. I would go. I said five. I would think it was number four. I
I'd say
just,
five.
yeah, it's close, but it's not the top one
But
for me.
sometimes, can I just say, sometimes that person, if you put them in their place, they won't do it again. And you can do it in a way where you shut them down and then they just understand that they're not going to try to one up people anymore because it doesn't feel good to be one up themselves. So I think I've done that before where I've sort of knocked people off their sort of like little pillar, if that makes sense. So I'd say a
Yeah.
four. I say it's
Okay.
but it's
Going
a,
at it at four. We're talking, by the way, about social offenses, and we've got a list here. This one's weird, and I've had this happen to me. I don't know if maybe you would know about this, or maybe your wife maybe would say, "Oh yeah, that happened." The bedroom explorer. So somebody gets lost on the way to the bathroom, and then they mosey on in and make their way into your bedroom. And then there they are. They're looking around. I have had this happen on numerous occasions. But then again, I am also the person that when you come over, I'll give you the full tour of my house and everybody's rooms. I do it all the time. But it's really, really awkward and uncomfortable when you find that wandering person in your room. What are they doing? You looking for my panties or something? Like, what's up?
My paintings.
No, panties.
Oh, panties. Okay. I thought you said paintings. Are you looking
No,
behind the paintings for a safe? What are you doing?
maybe. Where do you guys rank this one?
Oh man, I would say at least a four, maybe five, because that's personal. That's my personal space. If it's a
Right.
common area, everyone's over is welcome to that. But I didn't open that door for you.
Right.
Now, if I've said if you need my bathroom, it's in there. That means it's cleaned and straightened, and you're going to go use the bathroom. But maybe it's not. Maybe I just don't want you seeing my personal things.
Right. And
Get out of there,
especially like even if you're having a party, you might not have cleaned your entire bathroom the way you would have liked to have presented it out.
right?
Not that you're worried they're going to take anything. That's not the point. The point is they're in there and they're in your personal space. And whether you have, underwear on the floor or this out or
Medications.
prescriptions. Yeah, exactly. Prescriptions in
Yeah.
your medicine cabinet. There's a lot of things. For me, it's never actually happened because I feel like I've always had bedrooms and like common space separated. But where we live now, our bedroom is on the same common space, so it could happen. And it's a five. I think if you go into someone's room and you start snooping around, I don't want
totally.
you in my house.
Okay, totally. Okay. This one I know that you will both be able to relate to. The kid chaos enabler. They bring the kids, but then they let the parenting just go by the wayside. They bring them over and they are not an easy bunch. And they're yelling, they're screaming, they're taking crayons, they're writing, it's going on the coffee table. Like there are certain people that once they're over, yep, you guys are good to go. What do you guys feel about that? Any experience with that?
Oh, absolutely. This is probably a four, and I'm not going to say five because I think there needs to be kids need to be kids, and you need to be patient if they're doing things that are for you seems over the top, but to a parent, they block out the frequency of their own child. So sometimes I think you have to ask the parent, hey, could you ask them not to do that? Or you have to kind of step in and remind the parent that they're not at their own house. But I don't say five because I do want kids. I don't want people to feel awkward about bringing their kids to my place, but I'm not there to parent their kid.
I'm,
Alan?
I'm going to say I really like what Scotty said on that one. I think that's really well put. I think that I do want kids to be kids. I don't want to live in a world where there's white couches and nothing, nobody can touch anything. And, we're going to have dogs, we're going to have kids, things are going to spill. But at the same time, there's respect, and you should not let your kids go out of control and not do anything about it. But again, if that was happening, I would tell the parent, like, hey, can you just, tell them not to touch that? That's just really expensive. And they probably would. And again, everyone has different rules at different houses, but I do like kids being kids.
You know what comes to mind, and I mean, again, I was never that person. But I gave Scotty a gift for his kid one year, and man, I feel like I got lumped into the kid chaos enabler over here with that gift. Do you know what I'm
Okay,
talking
she
about?
gave me a megaphone that push buttons and it would do sirens and stuff,
Oh, I
and
remember.
it had no volume control, and so the minute we got it home, I hid it behind an entertainment center, and we never saw it again until we moved away from that house.
It's true. That's another form of the chaos kid enabler. Number 12, it's the refrigerator raider. The guest who comes into your home feels like they are part of your household and just opens up your fridge to see what you've got in there. I've had that happen not too long ago, and I thought, wow, that's very ballsy. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. As a matter of fact, I've been to, people's homes and I've needed something, but I would never just open up their fridge, but they have no problem looking in what you got, searching around. Alan?
Depends on the level of friendship. I think if it was a good friend of mine, I've always had that mentality of like mi casa, su casa. So if they want to go get themselves a water or a beer or something like that, I don't care. And I would want them to feel comfortable in my home and not feel like they're walking on eggshells. But if it's an acquaintance that I don't really know, it's kind of like the bedroom thing. Like it feels like you're sort of invading boundaries on that one. So I'd say a three.
I say it too, and the reason I say it is similar to what Alan said. I have this thing that if you're at my house for the second time, you know where everything is now, so help yourself. The first time though, I'm hosting you and I'm going to guide you and help. If you need something, ask me, and I'm happy to get it for you. So I don't know. It just depends on where we are in our time together.
Yep.
So you rank that at a two?
A two, yeah.
I'm at a three, but this takes us into number 11, and it's the stay over stowaway. All right. They were supposed to leave after dinner, and somehow they're still there. It's brunch. They're staying for brunch the next day. I've had this happen with one of my best friends, Larry, who'll show up. And I love Larry. She's my best friend. But like, she'll stay. And if you know what? If I didn't kick her out after brunch, guess what? She would stay again. Seriously, because that's just her. She's that person. And I'm okay with it with her because I know her. But there are other people, like sometimes, I guess they'll have to stay because maybe they've had too much to drink and you would never want them to drive. And that 100% you would never send them home. But that one guest is like, I'm just going to stay over. And they just stay. How are you guys with that?
I don't really have familiarity with that. I think kind of what you said, if somebody was drunk, I would want them to not drive and I would offer that they
Correct.
could stay over. But I think I was leaning more towards the straggler, and I hope I'm not jumping on any of your future ones, but there's a time naturally where it's like everyone should leave. And you're seeing people get up and they're
Leave it for later because it's coming
and
up.
there's like that one or two people that are still there, and it's getting late, and you're kind of like cleaning up, and you're sending all these mixed signals to them, like, we're all right, party's over, lights are on, we're putting stuff away. And they're still sitting there talking, and they're not leaving. And I think for
They're
me,
pouring another cocktail.
it's
They're
hard to
ready.
tell a person to leave. And I think that's what I was sort of thinking about on that one. But nobody's ever like just invited themselves to sleep over without it being an issue. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. If it would happen, it would be because someone lives quite a ways away.
Yeah.
But generally, people aren't going to stay if they live down the road, and nobody's getting sloshed at my house.
Nobody's
So,
getting splashed at your house.
Yeah,
yeah,
Uber. Yeah,
So
exactly.
you rank it at a two, a one.
a one.
It's a one. I think it's just frequency level for
All
me.
right, we're moving into number 10, and I haven't experienced this, and maybe you have the shower squatter. Somebody who comes over and in the middle of the hand, they're like, hey, do you mind if I just jump in your shower? Now, granted, they might have a place to go after they've been hanging out with you, but they just say, hey, can I use your shower real quick? Have you ever experienced that?
I've had uh, a woman one time who was, it was a bunch of us over, and then she goes, "Do you mind if I go wash my feet?" Because it was Hawaii and she was wearing slippers and she just didn't want to run around the house with dirty feet. And I'm like, okay, it was an odd request, but yeah. I don't think I've ever had that other than someone who asked me ahead of time, hey, I have to go to this thing. Do you mind if I change and shower at your place? Then it wouldn't be a big deal.
I think when I've had friends that have had their water out, or there's some issue with the pipes, they've come over and I've actually used friend showers in this situation or the YMCA, but it's something that we would talk about and they would offer. I don't
Right. It's
think that if somebody was at my house, and maybe this is a woman thing, I don't know, Scotty, if this is, I can't imagine any of my male friends coming over and taking a shower at my house ever.
No,
No,
right. Like imagine Scotty coming over and saying, hey guys, I'm just gonna jump, I'm just
never.
gonna jump in your shower real fast. I mean, even if you said, because Scotty and I are a couple hours apart, but even if you said, it was a long drive, I just feel I just got some ass juice. I got to rinse
Oh my
off.
God. What was it? Those wipes we were talking about, the butt wipes?
yeah, the dude wipes. Yeah.
Wipes.
Another reason, Dude Wipes, you need to be a part of our podcast. You need to be a sponsor. I've never experienced that. So, and I don't know how I would feel about the shower squatter. I would probably be at a three on that one.
Yeah,
A
sure.
three. Okay, we're moving into the outfit offender where the dress code is casual. Everyone is told casual attire, and yet they show up wearing stilettos with rhinestones and something really flashy, and it's like, whoa. Or even a dude who's like, what do you think?
That's a one. Who cares? I don't care what they dress, how they dress, if they're happy and comfortable. I
I
mean,
mean,
as long as it's not inappropriate, they're wearing a bikini and,
Oh,
something like that
oh
and
yeah.
stilettos.
I think it's a one too. I think people feel comfortable how they feel. I think it's worse actually if it's the other way and they're not dressed appropriately for something that everyone else put a lot of effort into and they underdress. But I've always heard the expression you can never be overdressed. And so if they're feeling comfortable in that and they're insecure and it makes them feel good, I don't care.
Okay. All right, moving along. Number eight. I The funeral fashion rebel, somebody who shows up to a funeral, inappropriately dressed. I haven't been to very many funerals, um, but apparently 42% of people have said they've looked at somebody at a funeral and you went, why are they wearing that? Anyone?
I don't know. You're so involved in
What's going on?
what's going on. I'm not thinking about people's what they're
Yeah,
wearing.
I think that like some people just don't get out enough. Maybe that's a social interaction. They think they're going to meet someone. I think that's odd. But I think
That's odd.
that'd be
That's so
a
weird.
funny dating story when they're like, "How did you guys meet?" "Oh, we met at my friend's funeral." I think some people maybe just don't go out enough, and they see every event as something they have to go to, like to the nine, so to speak.
Right,
I think it's gross. I think at a funeral you should be somber, humble, and definitely not flashy.
right.
But you shouldn't be upstaging the family. That's for sure.
Correct, correct. I would rank that at a number two.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, same.
Same.
Two? Okay. This is a good one. And we all know somebody in our life, the attention hijacker at your event. All right. Somehow it's your announcement, but somehow, whatever it is that you're doing, it's all about them. The attention hijacker. You got a story? Come on, I know you do.
Yeah, I mean
Tell one.
that's one of those. It's just awkward. It just makes people feel. Everybody feels awkward around that person, and you almost they're insecure. You know that something's wrong with them. They're not able to read the room. They're not socially adept. So it's just weird and awkward. I think that's a four, and because I don't know how to address it a lot of times.
I think it's a five for me. It's definitely a personality type. It's kind of like going to like your significant other's family and not going into their culture, but thinking that you can establish your own in that room. And I think sometimes people just don't respect the fact that they're a guest. And when you're a guest, it's different than being like the main character or the lead. And I think when people act that way, then in my opinion, I don't want them there.
Yeah, it's a five for me too. I've been in so many situations where that happens, and it's happened to the person hosting, and they're big, to do, and I'm just like, wow, who is this person?
Exactly. Like somebody's like
It's
sitting there
just,
having a baby shower and the other person's talking about their toddler. It's like you're there for that person's baby shower. Be happy that they're
yeah.
becoming a mom. You don't need to talk about your toddler. There's always going to be other mommy groups. But I agree. When people are like that, it feels like they're kind of selfish.
Okay. Number five, the flirty friend. This is the one friend that treats your partner like they're auditioning for The Bachelor. Where does that stand with you guys? Again, we're counting down and ranking social offenses.
Alan?
Scale of one to five, five being the worst, one being on the lowest on the totem pole. Where does that stand with you, Scotty?
Oh, I said Alan,
Okay,
so
I'll start. I mean, look,
yeah.
that's happened to me a lot in my life as a married person. I think I remember like at preschools, moms getting a little too weird on the hug sometimes, or cross like it did never going overtly to like something cheating, but making me feel uncomfortable and being a little too flirtatious. And I always just play aloof. I think a lot of guys do. I think when you know a woman is flirt, especially in my field as a male therapist, it's sometimes, I don't want to lose my license or anything like that over a client. So, there are going to be times when people are going to project things onto you, and I think you can just be aloof and pretend you didn't even notice it and just don't engage.
So so to be clear, it seemed like they were flirting with your significant other in your scenario, Hudson. Was I
Right.
wrong on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Alan,
I
it'd
don't
be like somebody flirting with me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that it's a no. You're out. I mean, I don't think you can have a friend like that, can you? I mean, I've always said if you're going to have platonic friends when I do premarital counseling, people will ask me like, is it okay to stay friends with exes? What if I have a male friend? What if I have a female friend? If it pre-exists the relationship and it's supportive of the relationship, then I'm all for people having mixed gender friends. But when it's like what you guys are talking about, that makes the relationship really unsafe, and I wouldn't want a
The
friend like
flirty friend is a no.
that.
I think any woman will let you know that if there's that one person that does that, you're cut.
If you can't trust your friend, Scotty, like you know this is like in the guy code. If some guy was doing something like that, they'd be out real fast. I wouldn't want
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna go five if it was
five.
obvious. Yeah.
Okay, wow. We're getting the countdown from the guys. Okay, how about the white wedding guest? Now, they show up to the wedding, and I've seen this on numerous occasions. They show up to the wedding in white. Now, they're not wearing a gown, they're wearing a white jumpsuit. Why? That to me just takes away it's supposed to be your day. That's number five for me. I just want you to know.
Wow, that is where men and women are so different. I probably would not have even thought about what they were wearing. Like you honed in on it and immediately took offense. I would have probably thought that was a one. I wouldn't have even known that they did something wrong.
See, this is why this is interesting talking to two guys. Alan?
I same as Scotty. I don't think I would have even noticed that detail. I think I'm too aloof to probably have picked up on it. It would be you pointing it out. But if somebody it reminds me of the funeral one and the one that where the person's like taking social media shots at your party. Like some people are there for themselves. And I think they want to be the star. And I think you shouldn't upstage the host. You shouldn't upstage the mourning family, and you definitely should not upstage the bride.
Thank you. So,
It's a four.
so you're giving it a four?
Not for me personally, it wouldn't bother me, but if somebody brought it up to me and I actually thought about it, then I'd be like, yeah, that person's kind of messed up. But I'm like Scotty, I wouldn't have noticed it probably in the first place.
You probably wouldn't have. Yeah, it's true. You don't even notice when we get our nails done or our hair done. All right, number three, the news stealer. You're saving up for your big moment, and this person takes it and runs and starts telling everybody before you get to the big announcement. The news stealer. How do you rank that?
That'd be a five. I
Okay.
I think because
Do you have
it's
any
up to me.
stories? Has it ever happened to you?
Well, I think nothing's immediately come to my mind, but I know, for example, I've known when people are going to have kids, that the woman is pregnant
Yeah.
And I know it's not for me to share with other people. It's just, it would be wrong. And until they're ready, maybe they need to get through the first trimester before they feel comfortable because of some past thing. Why would you dare share that news with someone? So I
Right.
think it's a major break in friendship to do that.
I agree. That's a five for me too. Alan?
I'd say a five as well. I think if you're doing that to your friends, you're not a good friend. I think you should let your friends shine sometimes and be a star. And if you always have to be the person who's taking the spotlight, kind of like the last three examples that I mentioned last time, same
Yeah.
thing. It's a person who's all
Has it
about.
ever happened to you personally?
Um, it's not coming to mind, but I'm sure it probably has, where I was really
Yeah.
excited about something and I was going to tell a friend, and suddenly this person just blurted it out. And you could even just be going to a concert that you really wanted to go to, and you were so excited to tell them because that person knew like an emotional connection to it. And this other person just jumps in and blurts it out so that you can't even tell the story. So I don't know. I mean, it does happen, I guess, but I try to not have people like that in my life.
Yeah. Okay. Number two, the loud personal call.
Hmm.
Why are you taking a private call at an event and talking so loudly that everyone in the room needs to hear your conversation? Why? Or that person, you're at an event and they're on speakerphone having this like business conversation. Where does that rank for you guys? Again, social offenses.
It's a girl thing, I think.
Really?
What do you think, Scotty?
You mean girls do it or girls are
Well,
offended by
meaning,
it?
do you know a lot of men in situations like that where are trying to make a spectacle of themselves on a speakerphone call in a public event to have everybody
Yes.
look at them? Because that's what it feels like. Again, it's another person who's insecure trying to be a star. And so I don't know that many men that are flashy enough to take a call. Maybe they are. I could be wrong. Maybe it's
Oh
just
my gosh, this is a big one for me.
it
I've
feels
seen it
like
a lot.
women, I've seen a lot of women having those types of speakerphone conversations. And it's like they're pretending it's a private conversation, but in many ways, obviously, they're doing it in front of people. They could have stepped outside. So I know
Yeah.
they mean for us to hear, and it feels kind of desperate. And it makes me like, I don't know, I don't respect people like that as much.
Right. So where is it on the scale for you?
Again, it's like if you're the kind of person who's once in a while, I understand people are into the speakerphone thing. And it's like, I'm not going to hold it against you. But if you're doing it for your own vanity or to become a spectacle, then again, it's like inauthenticity, and I'm just not into that. So that would be a 4 or 5 cut.
Okay. I see this in both sexes, and I see it a lot, like in stores, which is not just social event, but people will walk around and they're just talking out loud, and someone you're hearing, "Rrr, rrr,
Yeah.
rrr, rrr, rrr," or they're on a video call and they're walking around and just like that person's with them next to them, but they're not. And for some reason, it just irks me. I'm like, or people will be watching a video and instead of having earbuds in, they're watching it full volume on their phone. I just think that's one of the most annoying things for me. So I'm giving it a five.
I
Yeah.
don't mind. I don't mind when people do it at a store or whatever, because sometimes it's like I have them, and Hudson knows this about me. I don't really give an F what people think about me for the most part. So if I'm at the store and I need to talk to Hudson and ask her a question about it, or we're picking out clothes and she's on FaceTime, whether or not people think that's weird, I'm not doing it for their benefit or my own to look good. I'm doing it just to be efficient. But at the same
Well, see,
time, if you're
that's
doing it
different
in
than
a
just
social
carrying.
situation, it's different.
That's different than carrying her around the whole time you're shopping and just chit-chatting about life. I think that's more what I'm talking about. If
Wait,
if
Alan
I'm
does that. Hold on. Alan does that with me
if I'm
all the
looking
time.
at if I'm looking up a product and I need to get a yes or no from Angie, I'll call, show her the thing, and then say goodbye and we move on. But I don't keep her on the phone.
Yeah, no, I don't know. To me, again, it's more, what is your purpose? And is it, do you care about people you'll never see again? Not really. But
Well, that
if
could
your
be the
purpose is
case.
to make everybody look at you at a party or at a concert or something like that, an event of some sort, and you're doing it at a wedding, or you're making yourself a spectacle. And at that point, you're trying to get eyes on you publicly with people you know. And that's different to me than strangers. Like strangers, I don't care.
Well, but you see that here's just where we're disagreeing, I think, because you're assuming their motive, and I'm just talking about what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't care if they're trying to make a spectacle or they're just oblivious. Either way, I think it's not appropriate to have a that's like me walking up to people are talking and I'm just yelling suddenly. Like, why are you yelling? That's what it feels like when people are talking on a speakerphone.
But aren't we living in a world now with all this Bluetooth and everything and these glasses? It's like everybody's always just talking. Like I don't know wherever I am. I never know if they're talking to me or if they're just talking to someone through their glasses or their phone or their earbuds. So I think it's just so common now that people feel comfortable just having conversations in public that it looks like they're talking to themselves. You see them in the car, just getting into an argument by themselves. I'm used to it.
Where would you, well, so what would you rank it, Alan?
For me, it's a two.
Scotty?
Five.
Okay.
I'm at a three. Are you ready for number one?
Yes, please.
Now
This is the most
let's
annoying
get
social thing.
number one, the most offensive social thing you can do. And let's see where this lands on the Scotty B and Alan meter here. You throw a little get together at your place with another couple. The wife decides, I'm going to wear a thong bikini. And so here you are. It's awkward, right? And inappropriate. And then they want to do a get out of the pool and do a dive competition with your significant other. It's a little awkward. Where do you see that on the social offensive scale?
Okay. How in the world did this specific situation show
Because
up
it
as number
happened.
one?
It happened. And it's just like, wow.
It happens enough that this became the number one most
No.
annoying.
Well, but look, but you know what? On the appropriateness, again, I don't know the flirtation part of it, but let's just say, like, have you been to a kid's birthday party too, where there's a mom who wears a thong or something? Like, I've been in situations at the beach with people with kids. I think sometimes, and I'm not trying to be conservative, if you know, if you have kids, but when you're around other children and families, like wearing a one piece or a tasteful bikini is appropriate. So if you're
There's a
wearing a thong
family-friendly
in
bathing
general,
suit. Or
it's again, it's you're attention seeking and it's untrustworthy. And I like confident people. I don't think a confident person would do that.
where would you rank that, Scotty?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know.
Where
It's
would Angie rank that?
oh, it's a 10.
Yeah, thank you. So, and would you now, okay, would you feel awkward as a man if that was going on, if you that happened?
Are you really asking me? Yes,
I
of
really
course.
am.
Like, are you confused about what my answer would be?
And
You
if
know
your
me
wife
enough.
felt uncomfortable about it, you would support her in that decision, right?
Of course.
Of course. Yeah. That's the number one.
That's the
Hmm.
number one.
That is the number one.
Being
I
But
appropriate.
will.
Well, being
So I,
respectful of people's relationships, I think too. You know, if you have like another couple, don't start calling the person's wife and building a separate friendship with them. I think there's a respect for couples too, and I think that that falls into that same category, which is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to break my marriage up? Are you trying to break my relationship up? It's like, you know, even if a guy showed up and he was all ripped and he's like flirting with Hudson, it's like, are we going to be couple friends? It's an uncomfortable situation. So I agree that there's boundaries you should have in friendships.
and where does that put you on the scale between one and five, Alan?
I'd say five for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a
Inappropriate.
10 for me. Oh, I almost called this the Mike and Mine podcast. That was the old days. So make sure you let your friends know. We have rebranded Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist, and we've got one. I'm Hudson Hott, Scotty Blaisdell, our therapist, Alan Wagner. Peace in the chicken grease.
see ya.